Hello and welcome to our virtual whistle stop tour series. My name is Nikki Johnson, Executive Director of the North Carolina Small Grain Growers. And on behalf of our association, we are so sorry that you can't be in the field with us this year to see the research being done. But we thought that these videos would be a good alternative to still get you the information you need. Each year, your assessment dollars help fund these research videos. So it's so important that we get you the information that you need on your farm and to help you in any way we can. So we hope you enjoy these small but yet informative and educational videos. Each week they'll be published in our Wheat Beat. They'll be loaded onto our website at ncwheat.com and uploaded to our NC Small Grain Growers Facebook page. So be sure to check it out, let us know what you think, and if there's anything that we can do to help in your area, please let us know. Please stay home, stay safe, and stay healthy. We hope to see you again real soon.
Hello and welcome to the Mountain Horticultural Crops Research and Extension Center here in Mills River, North Carolina. My name is Jeff Chandler. I'm the Center Director here. And today I'm pleased to welcome you to this virtual field day of our small grain plots. And before we get into that in more detail, I wanted to share with you some more about the Research and Extension Center here. The primary research projects grown at this facility are related to horticultural crops in tomatoes, apples, and ornamentals. And while that's the core of the research programs housed at this location, we work with a diverse group of cropping systems related to projects with faculty throughout the College of Ag and Life Sciences at NC State. Those additional cropping systems include cabbage, peppers, squash, industrial hemp, hops, corn, soybeans, and of course, small grain. Here at the Mountain Horticultural Crops Research and Extension Center, we have a staff of about 40 faculty and staff dedicated to improving agriculture in North Carolina. And specifically, we have a large focus on extension programming for education and outreach from this facility. We host over 150 individual events a year and have over 8,500 visitors come to our facility for field days, classroom education, training, pesticide recertification, and the like. So one of the important components of the work that we do here is not only field research to discover new practices, new knowledge about crop production, but to also disseminate that information to people throughout the state about what's being learned through our research programs.
We're out here today at the Mountain Horticultural Research Station, and we're looking at the barley official variety test. Typically at this time of the year we would have both small grain growers and also some of our craft maltsters and brewers out here on the station to take a look at these varieties and to talk about malting quality. There are 3 malt houses in North Carolina: River Bend, Carolina Malt, and Epiphany Malt House. And these maltsters are now producing malt here locally in North Carolina from grain that's grown in our state and providing that malt to our craft brew industry. We have a growing craft brew industry like many other locations in the United States, and they're really looking for high quality malt that's produced locally to add to their beers. Malt houses who are producing malt for craft brewers are looking for a particular set of characteristics when they take in grain from growers. Number 1 is protein. Protein has to be between 9.5% and 12.5% to make good quality malt. The other characteristics include plumpness, germination energy, dawn level, and RVA. For plumpness, that malter is looking for greater than 80% plump grains. This means that the grain has been sieved on a 6/64 sieve and greater than 80% of the kernels are plump. This is easy to achieve with a 2-row barley, but more challenging with a 6-row barley, even though we have 6-row barleys that can produce high quality malt. The malter is also looking for germination energy, greater than 95%. It's extremely important for grain produced for malt to germinate because germination is a key part of the malt process. We're actually germinating that grain, starting to change those starches over into sugars that can then be turned into alcohol. And if we don't have a germinable seed, there's no way we can cause the starches to turn into sugars. RVA is a number that maltsters are looking for to determine the likelihood that they might lose that grain in storage. So it's a measure of the enzyme activity in that seed and whether or not it can go bad while in storage. So what they are looking for is an RVA number greater than 120, and that means that that seed is fairly stable to put into storage for several months. And that's important for a malter if they need to be malting throughout the year and don't have access to grain coming in month after month. RVA numbers between 50 and 120 will give you a medium potential for loss of grain quality during storage, and numbers below 50 are usually going to be completely rejected by malt houses. To produce high quality malt, it's oftentimes important to use a fungicide during the growing season. The main disease that we worry about in malting barley is Fusarium head scab, which produces the aflatoxin DON. DON levels need to be less than 1 part per million, and more preferably 0, for malters to accept that grain. The timing you would need to apply fungicide to protect for head scab in malt barley is when it's in boot. Unlike other small grains where we have pollination occurring after heading, for barley that pollination occurs while the head is still in the boot, and that would be the time that barley is susceptible to head scab. The other management practice we need to look carefully at when we produce malt barley is the application of nitrogen. It's not as important to achieve the highest yielding crop for malt barley as it is to make sure that more of your kernels are meeting malt quality characteristics. This means that you might go with a lower top dress nitrogen rate than you would if you were shooting for highest yield. We have found that a single application of 100 to 110 pounds of nitrogen for top dress meets this criteria for most areas of the state. Having a lower yield but good quality for all of those grains means more of your grain will be purchased at the premium for malt than has to go to the secondary feed market. Now that we've discussed the quality characteristics needed to produce high quality malt, let's take a look at some of these varieties and learn about their other characteristics and what makes them adapted to North Carolina. Barley varieties have two major head types, and the type of head that we're dealing with in each variety is going to make a difference in whether we can meet malt quality or not. There is the 2-row, which is preferred by maltsters, and the 6-row barley, which is typically used as a feed grain. But we do have 6-row varieties that can produce high quality malt. Let's take a look at the two different head types and see the differences between them and why we might see differences in characteristics there. For a 6-row barley, we have 6 rows of grains coming up that panicle, and generally these grains are going to be thinner and less plump, therefore less likely to meet malt quality depending on how that variety was developed. For 2-row barleys, we have a higher probability of having a plump grain because the grain head has fewer seeds to fill on each side of that panicle. These are more likely to meet the plumpness parameter of greater than 80% 6/64 seeds when we sieve them out at the end of the season. So the 2-row barley is much preferred for the malt house, though they will accept high quality 6-row barleys for malt.
Hey everybody, it's Ryan Heiniger with the official variety testing program at North Carolina State University. Here today to talk to you about the malt barley OVT test. This is a test that's been in the small grains program for multiple years, but we brought it into the OVT back in 2017 so we could expand the number of lines that we're looking at for yield, agronomic characteristics, and malt quality. What I'm going to do is highlight some of the older lines that we've had in this test, talk about a test that we had from 2018, the results from that test, and talk about what we have in this year's test. Some of the older lines that we've had in this test for multiple years. First one is Germination Thoroughbred. It's a 6-row barley that's primarily developed for feed quality, but also has some really good malt quality characteristics as well. It was top yield back in 2017. The other one I'm going to talk to you about that's been in the test for a little while is Limagrain Violetta. Unlike Thoroughbred, it's actually a 2-row barley, so it's going to have a little bit better opportunity for grain plumpness, which is a good characteristic to have for malt quality. Back in 2018, we had a test in Rowan County that I'm going to talk about. The 8 of those lines are replicated in this year's test. I want to caution you, usually when we talk about selecting varieties from OVT tables, we talk about top yield group across multiple years and across multiple locations, because that is your best criteria for selecting varieties for performance. What I'm going to talk to you today on 2018 is only from a single location and did not have significant separation. So we're only going to talk about yields in terms of ranking. We'll have some really good data from this year's test across 3 locations to make some better determinations. In 2018, the top yielding line was KWS Scala. It is a 2-row barley that's medium late. The only watch out for it was a little bit below average for lodging at that location. Second ranking yield in Rowan in 2018 was KWS Somerset. It actually had some really good standability. We had some excellent lodging ratings from that location, and this one stood really, really well. It is also a 2-row barley. Next was Virginia Tech Hirondella. It's 4th on yield, average for lodging, medium for maturity. 5th on that list was Virginia Tech Flavia. Again, average lodging, a lot like Hirondella, and medium maturity, but in a 2-row barley. You had KWS Denau, a 2-row barley, excellent standability. This one really did not lodge at all. And then finally we had Limagrain's Calypso. Very good standability, again, a 2-row barley. Those are the 8 lines that we had back in 2018 that are replicated in this year's test in 2020. Along with that, we have 4 new lines. We have KWS Faro, a 6-row malt barley, Limagrain's Casanova, which is a 2-row, Limagrain's Fay, which is also a 2-row, and then an experimental line from Limagrain. Overall in this test this year, 75% of our lines are 2-row barleys, so it'll be interesting to see how their malt characteristics compare to the 6-row barleys that we have in this test. From 2018, we did look at the malting characteristics, and all of those lines that we tested in 2018 met or exceeded malt quality metrics. The only thing that was different for malting quality in 2018 was that 2-row barleys tended to have plumper kernels than the 6-row varieties. I encourage you, at the end of this year, come June or July, we'll have the table from these locations out on both the Small Grains portal and the NCOVT website, ncovt.com. Take a look there, not only for the yield and agronomic characteristics that I've mentioned here today, but also for the malting quality for these lines.